with Trinitee. We are shooting this episode of Poppin' on location. I'm in Jackson, Mississippi. Woo! But what's popping in my world this week is the Democratic National Convention, or the DNC. But before we get into the actual speakers list, let's talk about who didn't quite make the list. Unfortunately, Andrew Yang was not on the DNC speakers list, but we found this out by his not-so-subtle tweet after the list was actually publicized on all the social media platforms. He tweeted how disappointed that he was that he did not make the cut, and how he really expected to be on the list. I feel so sorry for Andrew Yang, but on a more positive note, I know that he will find some new creative way to share all of his ideas with people around the globe. So you can figure this out, Andrew Yang. I believe in you, and I know that we will hear from you on an entire new spectrum next time. But let's get to who did make the speakers list. First up is AOC. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had a very unique speaker's time for the DNC. She only had 60 seconds. That's right, reel it in. She only had 1 minute for her DNC speech. Now, even though some people were telling her how that's not enough time and what is she going to be able to say and shouldn't she be complaining and asking for more time, AOC had a more positive outtake, and she was basically saying how it doesn't matter how much time you have, it matters what you say in that amount of time. I definitely think this is the case in any arena, not necessarily in politics. Even, if you have an opportunity to get even if you have the opportunity to, accept an award and you only have 60 seconds. So AOC really showed everyone who watched the DNC. Even if you have the opportunity to, accept an award and you only have 60 seconds. So AOC really showed everyone who watched the DNC how to really maximize the moment and maximize any opportunity that you're given. So way to go, AOC. The next speaker who got a chance to speak at the DNC was 13-year-old Braden Harrington. He got a chance to show a video of himself, and in his video he was saying how Joe Biden actually helped him overcome his stutter. Now, having a stutter actually hits a little closer to home for my family and I, because my dad used to have a stutter. And it's our running family joke that my mom loved it out of him. But anyway, it was so sweet to see how Joe Biden was able to help Braden Harrington with such an everyday thing. And I thought this was an even greater twist, because Joe Biden's stutter is something that sometimes he gets backlash for when he's speaking, even though he's overcome it for the most part. But it really showed how even the smallest things that you could get teased about could be something that actually makes a difference in someone else's life. So this was something that was really unique, and I thought it was a great twist to sort of spice up the DNC. So thank you, Braden Harrington, for your sweet, sweet video and really sharing a great positive message. So the next speaker that we're going to talk about is Tammy Duckworth. She was actually in the running to be Joe Biden's VP pick, but during her speech, she took the time to call Donald Trump the coward-in-chief. Now, usually presidents are called the commander-in-chief or POTUS, but no. Duckworth called Trump the coward-in-chief. I thought this was, one of the most unique names that I've heard Trump called in a really long time, because he's very cowardly when it comes to finding facts. He's cowardly when it comes to making things up. He's cowardly when it comes to protecting lives, the economies, businesses, everyday people, people with disabilities. The list goes on and on. So for Tammy Duckworth to call Trump the coward-in-chief, that was just spot on. But of course, that one of the major highlights of the DNC was First Lady Michelle Obama's speech. I was really excited to hear this speech, and I was not disappointed. Michelle Obama, in her speech, she used one of Trump's own phrases that he used earlier this week back on him. And this is exactly what she said. She said, "He simply cannot be who we need him to be for us. It is what it is." Now, it is what it is something that Trump said during a live press briefing. He said that the astronomical deaths that the U.S. has been receiving during the coronavirus, it is what it is. There's nothing he can do about it. There's nothing anyone can do about it. It is what it is. People are just going to keep dying, and that's just that. Which definitely is not the case, because if Trump took the time to be a real leader, he actually could save thousands and thousands of lives, but that's something that he simply cannot be. So, way to go, Michelle Obama, for really calling Trump out on his stuff. But because she did this, the next day, Donald Trump, in another live press briefing, had to call Michelle Obama's speech divisive. Divisive? You're calling Michelle Obama's speech, which was one of the most unifying speeches that we have heard as an American people in so long, divisive? All Donald Trump does whenever he opens his mouth is divide people. Whether it's on coronavirus relief, whether it's on kids going back to school, and whether it's on race, and especially on justice, all he does is divide. So it really gave me a good little giggle, because Trump seemingly, calls people names or calls their speeches names, when really he's using those words against them, but they could easily be turned back on him, because it is what it is. There you go. I had to say, it was too easy. But also in Michelle Obama's speech, she really emphasized how going high does not mean turning a blind eye. Some people can think that going high means, not looking at what's going on around you or anything like that. But in the speech, Michelle Obama was saying how going high, it really means stepping up to the plate. Looking around you and seeing how you can help your community and the people that you serve, or even the people that you work with or work for. So having that, really laid out to the viewers, I thought it was a great part of her speech, because so many people say that, oh, I'm going high, I'm not looking, oh, I'm going high, I'm not paying attention. But First Lady Michelle Obama took the time to correct anybody who used going high in the wrong context, and she showed them how to use it correctly. So anyone who was using going high wrong, this is how you are supposed to use it. You're supposed to use it to help people that are around you and not to turn a blind eye. So the Democratic convention would not even remotely be complete if we did not get a chance to hear from Joe Biden's VP pick, which is Senator Kamala Harris. Her speech was absolutely just captivating in all the aspects. But you also got to see a side of her that we mainly got to see only in the debates. And this was her attack side. She attacked Trump directly and indirectly. But I really enjoyed her moments where she attacked Trump without even calling out his name. But I know when he watched it, I know he felt that was about him. For instance, she said, "I know a predator when I see one." Trump is a predator in all types of ways. He is a predator to American health. He is a predator to the American economy, and many more ways that he's a predator to people across the globe. So just that statement alone was like, oh wow. Like, that just really resonated with me, and I know it resonated with Trump. But that was just one of the few ways that Kamala Harris really showcased how she plans to attack not only Trump and VP Pence, but how she's going to attack the damage that she's going to be left with prayerfully when she makes her way into the White House with Joe Biden as president. But with Kamala Harris walking onto the DNC stage, she made history just by having her speech. She did this because she is the first African-American woman and the first person of Asian descent to be on any major party's national ticket. So way to go, Kamala! Woohoo! I am so proud of you for making such a big stride in history, and hopefully you will make even more history next year in January in the White House. Woohoo! But like I said, Kamala Harris, she's awesome, and I really enjoyed what she really brought to the DNC stage. She loved to connect her past and her childhood growing up in Oakland with some things that can resonate with anyone across the world. showing how she grew up with very humble beginnings and how she was able to grow into the woman that she is today. So I thought that was amazing, and I think that she's going to do a great job inspiring girls and boys around the world that no matter where you come from, you really can be whoever you want to be. Before we end this episode of Poppin', I had to give my highlights on the next president of these United States of America, Joe Biden's DNC speech. This was actually the most presidential that I have seen him. He was so calm, he was so collected, and he was so presidential. He was so trustworthy, and even in his tone and his pauses, he really spoke to the people as the next president. But something that really stuck out in the entire speech was what he plans to do with his presidency. He says that he will be an ally to the light, not the darkness. I mean, well said. This shows in all of the ways that Joe Biden plans to really repatch America and bring lightness and glory back to the U.S. Because even though some people say that they plan to make America great again, Joe Biden really does plan to do this by bringing light and justice to people from all different walks of life to the U.S. But not only just that, Joe Biden was speaking in such a way that it really felt like one of those old school fireside chats. The ones you read about in school that, FDR held over the radio with the little crackle, but not the crackle now because, we have all this high tech. But that's really what it felt like. It felt like you were just hearing someone's opinions that you really valued, and it just felt so personal. And when I was watching his speech, it really felt like, Joe Biden was just coming into my home, and it was really welcoming, and it was a really great feeling to hear from someone that I hope will be the next president of the U.S., because that's not something that we typically hear. But Joe Biden's speech was full of all the fast facts, so way to go, Joe Biden. Everything was correct on your end. But he really set the tone for what he plans to do with his new presidency in Jesus' name. So way to go, Joe Biden, and an amazing job that was done from all the speakers of the 4-night DNC of 2020. Bravo, bravo. But make sure that you guys stay tuned next week for my updates on the Republican National Convention, and keep shining, babe. See you next week for What's Poppin'. Bye.